Hi everybody, peace. Welcome to the GSMC College Football Podcast show, brought to you by GSMC Sports Network. As you guys know, I'm your host, Casuan, and we've got a wonderful show for you guys. It's going to be a shorter show than usual. We had some technical difficulties that we had to take care of. That's my apologies. But nonetheless, we are still on. We're still with you guys. So, because there's so many games, really exciting games going on this weekend, I decided to do two preview shows this week. So instead of Friday being our typical preview show, we're going to do a preview show today on Thursday as well, just so we can get all the content in. And, we won't waste any time. We'll get right into it. But before we get started, if you haven't already, guys, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, so you guys can stay up to date on all the latest content. Be sure to follow us on Patreon as well. And if you'd like to support our network and our company, you can do so by following the link in the ticker below. It's streamelements.com/GSMC-sportsnetwork./tip. Once again, it's streamelements.com/GSMC-sportsnetwork./tip. None of this is possible without you guys, the fans. So, so grateful, honored for all the love and support you just show us, and it's an honor to have this platform. And with that being said, let's go get right into it, guys. So, we are going to be covering one of an very interesting Big Ten matchup. To start out, we're going to be previewing matchup between Ohio State and Maryland. And if we look at matchup predictor, Ohio State does have a 90.5% chance of winning this game. The game will be at Ohio Stadium. The over-under is currently set at 57, and the line actually has Ohio State minus 20. Listen, you guys know how I feel about Ohio State. I'm not entirely sold on them based off what I've seen so far. Their offense is very stagnant. Their defense is definitely their calling card this year. And they have struggled offensively. And Maryland has been stout offensively, led by Tagovailoa, which is Tua's little brother at the quarterback position. Maryland is undefeated. They beat Towson, Charlotte, UVA, Michigan State, and Indiana so far in the year. And we know Ohio State is also undefeated as well, with their most recent victory being against Notre Dame 2 weeks ago. But like I said, I'm not sold on Ohio State based on what I've seen so far, and I'm actually tempted to pick the upset right here, guys. I'm tempted to go with the upset right here. I'm tempted to go with Maryland in this upset right here. Just based on what I've seen, man. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that that Ohio State is legitimate, or do you guys think that Maryland has a legitimate chance of upsetting Ohio State? I see the upset happening. So, that's just me, but let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section and in the chat room as well. But I'm definitely gonna go with Maryland on this one right here. I do think it'll be, I think Maryland's gonna win this game by a score of 27-17. Yeah, so I have Maryland win this game by 10 points. Like I said, 27-17, Maryland. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with them. I have to ride with them on this one. But and I just even if Ohio State is to we just look at them on a scale I don't think they're better than Michigan. I don't think they're better than Penn State. So they're at best the third best team in the Big Ten. So them losing to Maryland isn't out the realm of possibility. And Maryland has been playing substantially this season. They're improving. They are a rising program, and like we just talked about, they're 5-0 on the season so far, averaging 458 yards of total offense. Tagovailoa has 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns on the season, so it's not out of the realm of possibility for Maryland to up to Ohio State, and this will be the best offense that Ohio State has faced all year. So will the defense be ready for that? So I'm going to stick with my pick. I'm going to go with Maryland, like I said, by a score of 27-17. But let me know what you guys think in the chat room. And in our next segment, guys, we will be previewing a Pac-12 matchup. Very interesting Pac-12 matchup. So, guys, be sure to stick around for all of that. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. In case you missed the first segment of our show, we just previewed the matchup between Maryland and Ohio State. And in this segment, guys, we are going to be previewing the matchup between Oregon State and Cal. Very exciting Pac-12 matchup. So let's go ahead and get right into it, guys, shall we? So as I said, we're going to be covering Oregon State and Cal. And if we look at matchup predictor, Oregon State currently has a 67.3% chance of winning the game. The game will be played in California Memorial Stadium, so it's a home game for Cal. The over-under is currently set at 51.5, which is a little low for a Pac-12 game. And the line currently has Oregon State -9. But we have to understand that Oregon State is one of the best defensive teams in Pac-12. They're not your prototypical Pac-12 team. They rely on their defense. They don't run a spread offense. And this is a Cal team that has struggled offensively as well, aside from their win against UNT, which they scored 58 points. Aside from that, they struggled a little bit offensively. So it's understandable why this game would be a little lower than your typical Pac-12 matchup. But, I talked about this earlier in the week that Oregon State might be the second or third best team in the Pac-12 behind Washington and USC and Washington State. But, the Pac-12 is a gauntlet, man. Like I always say, and we haven't even talked about Utah that much. But like I said, there's Utah and Oregon State and Washington State and Washington and USC and Oregon and Colorado. So the Pac-12 is like I said, I still think it's the best conference in the country right now. But I think this Oregon State team is great defensively, and because they have the best, in my opinion, the best defense in the Pac-12, I think that's what separates them from other teams in this conference, or at least that's what gives them a legitimate opportunity to win every game in the conference the rest of the year. They have a pretty good running attack. They're averaging 200 yards on the ground. Balanced offense, 230 passing, 206 on the ground, and they only give up 300 yards a game. They only allow 67 rushing yards. And look at Cal. Cal is averaging 212 yards on the ground. So that kind of feeds into, Oregon State kind of fits what is able to, this is a good matchup because Oregon State will be able to take away what Cal does well. And I won't be surprised if Oregon State gets into the 30s. Asking for a score right now, I go with the score of 34 to 20. Oregon State. So I do think that I think they'll cover the spread. I think this game will be close though in the first half. I don't think Oregon will start to pull away until the second half. But Oregon State has been a second half team. They've been a team that sometimes starts out, for the most part, has started out slow in all of their games and then slowly built up their momentum and their pace. Excuse me. In their rhythm. So I don't think this will be any different. Like I said, if I had to go to the score, I'd go 34-20. Absolutely. In this game, I just don't. I don't. But this would be a good matchup to show the country that Oregon State is legitimate, and just like Washington, these are legitimate teams, and their offense led by Ugolele, who as you're gonna talk about last week, the Clemson transfer is, like I said, found his rhythm. But we know this is a team that likes to run the ball. Martinez has almost 500 yards already on the season, on 73 carries. So yeah, I think Oregon State is going to be able to, match, impose their physicality on Cal, and like I said, I'm gonna have to go 34-20. Oregon State with this game right here. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Be sure to share your thoughts in the chat room as well. Who do you think is going to win this game? Do you think it's going to be a close game? Do you think it'll be a blowout? Do you think Cal has a chance of upsetting Oregon State? Let me know what you guys think. Share your thoughts. But, alright, in our next segment, guys, we are going to be covering the matchup between Florida State and Virginia Tech. So, be sure to stick around for all that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We will be right back. Alright, welcome back. In case you missed the first two segments of our show, we discussed the matchup between Maryland and Ohio State, and I got them pulling off the upset, Maryland at least. And they also discussed the matchup between Oregon State and Cal. And in this third segment, guys, like I said, we're going to be discussing the matchup between Florida State and Virginia Tech. So we'll go ahead and get right into that, guys. So if we look at ESPN, Florida State has a 94.7% chance of winning this game according to Matchup Predictor. Game we played at Doak Campbell Stadium. This is a home game for Florida State. Over-under is currently set at 53. The line is currently minus 24 in favor of Florida State. The reason I want to cover this game is because, Florida State is ranked number 5, right? Number 5 in the country. And I don't think anyone would question that they're the best team in the ACC. But I also think no one would question that the ACC is the weakest conference amongst the Power 5 conferences. And no one would question that Florida State has some flaws, particularly on the offensive end. Though being led, and I want to preface it, I want to be specific when I say this, and flaws in terms of consistency. I have Jordan Travis on my way too early Heisman list still, but they don't really have a run game. They're not consistent in the run. They only average 126 yards per game on the ground, and so they have to rely on the passing game, and teams start to, they just add another DB on the field. They bring in another nickel or, another safety, and now they're playing coverage. Teams are playing coverage now, so it's harder for Jordan Travis to fit those throws in and throw outside the numbers, and it's because there's no balance to the offense. Florida State doesn't really do a good job of establishing the run. And one thing that I learned by watching Virginia Tech in their game against Pitt this past weekend is their secondary. I'm not going to say their secondary is elite, but it's good. It's substantial. It's much better than I expected it to be. And we saw what they did to Pitt, held them 21 points. And the offense scored 38 points in that game. So, this will be, it's interesting. Virginia Tech and Florida State both have similar builds, and neither team really relies on the run. Both teams rely on the pass. Only difference is that, like I said, Virginia Tech's secondary is pretty good, while Florida State's secondary still struggles because they're allowing 272 passing yards per game, which is well below their standard. So, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a close game. The spread is minus 24. I think Virginia Tech, I don't think Florida State will cover the spread. I can see this being a one-score game. I can see this game being, I do have Florida State winning, by the way, but I can see Florida State winning this game by a score of 35 to 27. I would go 35-27 right now. I can see Virginia Tech making a game out of this, just because they can throw the ball. They throw the ball, and Florida State's, like I said, secondary is not that good. It's been inconsistent. And yeah, these are just some things that Florida State is going to have to clean up, shore up. But I don't think there's any question that Florida State is the best team in the ACC. But they're flawed. They're probably the most flawed team of all the teams that are ranked in the top 5 in the country. And Jordan Travis is leading this team. Is definitely leading this team with this play. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think that Virginia Tech has a good chance of upsetting Florida State, or do you think this game is going to be a blowout for Florida State? Share your thoughts in the chat room, because I would love to hear what you guys think about this game and who you guys want to win. I'd love to hear your guys' perspective, hear your guys' thoughts on that. But in our last segment, guys, we are actually going to be discussing an SEC matchup. Finally, an SEC matchup. We're discussing the matchup between Georgia and Kentucky. So, so be sure to stick around for all that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back. Alright, welcome back. In case you missed the first couple segments of our show, we've been doing previews all show long. We've been covering the preview for the matchup between Ohio State and Maryland. Also covered the preview for the matchup between Oregon State and Cal, as well as the matchup between Florida State and Virginia Tech. Excuse me. And in this last segment, guys, we're going to be discussing the matchup or previewing the matchup between Georgia and Kentucky. As you guys know, this is a top 25 matchup with Georgia obviously being ranked number 1 and Kentucky jumping into the top 25 after their last week, their last performance against Florida. So, if we look up matchup predictor, Georgia has an 86% chance of winning this game. Game's going to be played at Sanford Stadium, which means it's a home game for Georgia. Over-under is currently set at 47.5, and the spread currently favors Georgia minus 14.5. Obviously, we know Kentucky's 5-0, as well as Georgia, obviously. Kentucky averaging 225 yards in the air, 170 yards on the ground. But their defense has been phenomenal, especially their interior defense, their rush defense, only allowing 75 yards per game on the ground, but they do allow 221 yards in the air, which kind of favors Georgia. We know Georgia's averaging 332 yards in the air. However, their rushing attack has been pedestrian in comparison to how it was last year, with only averaging 148 yards on the ground so far this year. So, that matchup actually favors Georgia. And though I do believe Georgia's going to win this game, what I'll be looking for in this matchup is to see if Georgia will be able to establish the run, and will they be able to, stick to establishing the run, or will they just go straight to, throwing the ball as they've done throughout the entirety of the season. Because what's going to happen is once you start to play tougher opponents, if they end up playing Alabama in the SEC championship game, you're going to have to eventually establish the run, and we're going to see if this is just a flaw for Georgia. If they just, maybe they just don't have a solid rushing attack. But that's something that we're going to have to see moving forward. But I do think Kentucky's going to give Georgia some bump. So I think they're going to give them a little bit of run for their money. At least in the first half, it'll be close, and maybe even to the third quarter. But I do think Georgia will pull away. I do think Georgia is going to end up winning this game by at least 2 scores. I would say Georgia wins this game by a score of 32-17. Like I said, I think Georgia pulls away at the latest in the fourth quarter. But I think like I said, we're going to see if Georgia is going to be able to establish a run in this game. If they can't, then maybe it's a little bit of cause for concern in the rushing attack. We know their pass game has been good so far this year. We know that, but can they get some balance in the offense? And we know their defense has been elite all year and even past 3 years, honestly. But we know what their defense is, but can they get some more balance offensively? That's the question that remains to be seen. But yeah, guys, that's my prediction. That's my preview for Georgia Kentucky. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section in the chat room. Who do you guys think is going to win the matchup between Georgia and Kentucky? Do you think Kentucky has a legitimate chance of pulling off the upset? Do you think this will be a close game? Do you have Georgia winning emphatically? Let me know what you guys think in the chat room. But with that being said, guys, that's all we have for our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, so you guys can stay updated on all of our latest content that we post daily. Be sure to follow us on Patreon as well. You can do so by going to patreon.com, click on the search bar and type in GSMC Sports. That way you can gain access to all of our exclusive content that we post daily. And if you'd like to support our network and our company, you can do so by following the link in the ticker below. It's streamelements.com/GSMC Sports Network/tip. Once again, extremeelements.com/GSMC Sports Network./tip. None of this is possible without you guys, the fans. We're so grateful, honored for all the love and support that you show us, and it's a blessing and a privilege to be here. And it's a privilege to be working alongside some of the best in the media sports industry. If you haven't already, guys, be sure to check out the other shows on GSMC Sports Network: the GSMC Baseball Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast, and the GSMC NFL Podcast as well. All of our hosts provide great insight and coverage on sports they cover, and like I said, it's the honor and privilege to be working alongside some of the best of the best. So with that being said, guys, that's all we have for our show. We'll be back again same time tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, continue to stay safe, be vigilant, make smart decisions, and peace.